Good afternoon. Welcome back to another video. So today we'll be looking at the reticulation part, which is the planning designing guidelines for new urban land development. This is a scanned book. This is outdated though. There is a new revised book which is 43 pages, but it pretty much has almost the same information. But I'll be taking you through the other one because it is much better interpreted, although it is outdated, it's still the same. So this is the new book that they have put out now, but I will be taking you through the old book that I used, and I found it was much more better or much more compressed. So for every reticulation project that you're gonna do for different towns, you're gonna be given a guideline book whereby you are going to have to read it and know what different town councils require based on reticulation project. So for this one, you usually get it at the electrical department. This one is specifically from Windhoek. So I'm just gonna run through. So from the table of content there, you can see it talks of all the guidelines, the technical standards, the design calculation, including the voltage drops, the medium voltage supplies. This is now from your load centers to your miniature subs, and then the low voltage supply, which is now from the miniature sub all the way to, the kiosk all the way to the urban, where you can put everything, the street lighting and so forth. So um, it talks of literally everything that you need to know in terms of reticulation. Um, I'm going to run through fast, and I'm gonna have to drop the book so you guys can just go through with your own time. But basically, I'm still yet to record a video on ADMD, but this is basically after demand after diversity maximum demand. This is just a thing we use in the electrical department, whereby we say that if you supply a 40 amp breaker to a certain household, you don't expect everything to be on. You don't expect all the fridges to run. You don't expect all the lights to be on. You don't expect all the stove to be fully on. So that's just what you need to know basically about ADMHD, and it's different depending on certain areas, let's say residential, rural, and multi-story places. So I would record another video, but in a nutshell, that's what ADMHD means. It's just the after diversity, the maximum demand. So as you can see there, for normal informal settlement, it will be 2.5, and then for a high income urban area, it will range between 2.73 to 3k, and this can be something like what say. And then as you move up, let's say you're going up to the Frankenstein area, the Eros areas, the ADMHD would be much bigger because they would need much more uh, demands. So the voltage calculation, you just need to read through it, but the standard voltage for Namibia is 230, although they have labeled it here as 240 volts plus minus 10%, of which the 8% voltage drop should be on the low voltage distribution side, and the 2% should be on the service connection. So this is just to indicate your voltage drop, so you do your Herman beta calculation as to what voltage drops you're supposed to not exceed. So you're not supposed to exceed 8% voltage drop. So you can go through there in terms of voltage drop. And then we have got medium voltage supply. This is basically the supply from the load center to the miniature subs, if I have stated before. The type of cable that you're supposed to use. There you have the following cables to be used for either 11 kV to a 33 installation. Should be a 70 square meter 3-core cable, or 120 or 150 or 185, and it should all be a PILCDSTA. This is a standard name. It means paper insulated lead carbon something. type of copper cable that you're supposed to use. Um, so those are the standards cables that you can use for the reticulation project, and this varies from different town councils. But in order for them to approve you for a reticulation project, that those are the cables we usually use. Um, you can go through the distribution substation, what it means, miniature substation, and indoor substation. And then for the miniature substations, we have different ratings depending on how many loads you have. So for City of Windhoek, they allow for a 350, the 400 kV, a 500 kV, a 630 kV, depending on your load connected to that miniature sub or the Irvins basically. So ring main. The ring main is just to let you know of the loop that I was talking about in the previous video, whereby all miniature subs should be connected in a loop in such a way whereby if one line has got a fault on it, then you can use the other supply voltage on it. And then the metering, this is just the general metering from the console, so you can read that further. So the so as the dB of the different houses. And then we move on to the low voltage supply. The low voltage supply is just basically the supply that's from 415 volts, 400 volts three phase, if that's a three phase, or 240 single phase. In the type of cabling, they usually allow from a 35 to a 50 to a 70. This is all information that you need to take note of when you do your Herman Beta, and also when you're doing your design. For the pillar boxes, this one has a 6-way or 8-way pillar box will be used in a case whereby you are going to use a pillar boxes. But what you should note down is just the kiosk. So City of Windhoek allows for a 12-way kiosk or 18-way kiosk, so it just depends on you as to how you are going to or what type of kiosk you are going to use, and the breakers are also specified there. So uh, service connection cables, this is just to let you know that the service connection cable, this is from your kiosk to a different element, shall not be more than 80 meters. As I was talking about, you saw I did a list of the cabling from one kiosk to a certain element, and I always allow it to be 60 meters at most, to allow for that 20% slack when you supply towards the inner side of the house, because you don't know whether the client wants the main DB to be at the back of the house, in the middle, or at the front. So you just always leave that slack. It just gives you further information about the street lighting, where you should place them, and the regulations that they require, the street pole painting. But don't you worry, I'll provide you with a book and you can go through it. I'm just giving you a rundown and the different height that they require. So you guys can just go through this book. I will provide the link for the book down. Um, and then it also talks about cable trenching, cable marking. In a nutshell, cable trenching is when you are laying the cable. Now, when you have been approved to do the reticulation for a particular area and you go on site now to supervise, you will be required to check, are they digging the right trench with the right height? Is it wide enough, and how deep is it? And what type of cabling they are going to use there, is it the one that you specified? And then after you have laid your cabling, there's a special sandy soil that you use to cover up the cable, and then from there, that's when you put the danger plate. So it just explains everything here. If for example you if you have joined two cables, it also tells you what how you should join those two cables together, and what you really need to know as to when to join the cables. So the backfilling here is just talking about the bedding that you'll be using immediately after you have laid your cable. The road crossings and the sleeves, since Mr. Tapuka said you can leave them out for now, but you can also just read through them and know. The cable markers, these ones are just cable markers for different air vents. These ones you put inside the air vent to indicate where your last cabling was or where it has been routed to, just so that it's easier for the contractor who's coming to build the house. They know that there is a certain electrical cable there, rather than avoiding them digging up and damaging the cable or causing harm. Cable termination, this is just the termination basically in the kiosks or the miniature subs. This is just the when you cut the cable and you connect it in a miniature sub or kiosk, you would be required to terminate the cable, and this is usually done by professional terminators. The labeling, again, is just to label your kiosks properly, and the type of uh, to label your kiosk properly in order for people to know what kiosk they are on. This would be useful when the town council people come and do their own site inspection. So this is a more revised handy book, similar to the other one I just explained now. I'll drop both of them and you guys can go through it. And it's a 43-page book, but it's just talks of the same thing that I just explained in a nutshell. Thank you very much.